Welcome back to the channel. I'm Shango, a creative from Jamaica. This is ETT, and if it's your first time here, welcome. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye. I'm just kidding. I'm here to talk about Sony. No, not Sony as it relates to cameras, but Sony as it relates to phones. Why is it that Sony phones are not as popular as Android phones or even iPhones? And Sony has been making a lot of amazing phones. The Xperia line, Xperia 1, Xperia 5, amazing phones that are made with features for professionals like myself. Now, why is it that Sony is not really selling out these phones? I don't know. Well, maybe I do. Now, Sony has a tendency to announce a phone and the phone comes to market months after. Now, based on how things are going with phones and devices, when something announced and it takes 5 to 6 months to come out, you forget about it. That's just the system. These things are happening so rapidly. When Samsung and iPhone come out with a phone, once they talk about it, within 2 to 3 weeks you can get the phone, and that is how they keep their phones selling and their phones in your mind constantly. Now Sony will announce a phone, and when they announce the phone comes out months after before you can get your hand on it. Now that's bad. I really want to talk about this new phone, the Xperia Pro. Now, this is a next level phone. This is the first phone to have an HDMI in. Now let's talk about the specs. HDMI connectivity, which means you can connect an HDMI to the phone. So now your phone can become an HDMI screen for your camera, which is a Sony. Well, it can work with any camera, but most likely you'll just attach it to your A7S3 or your A7 III, whichever one. It comes with 5G mmWave. This is one of the high-level 5G technology that you can have right now. A 360 antenna, meaning your coverage is all around the phone. Is actually, the screen dimension is 6.5 inches and is 21 by 9 widescreen cinema view. 4K HDR OLED. That's the reason why you can use it as a display for your camera. The processor is a Snapdragon 865. It have the same processor as the top of the line phones right now. We're talking about the S21s and the iPhone 12s. No doubt. Amazing phone. Again, why are these phones not selling? Why are these phones are not popular amongst creative like myself? I'll explain. Now, as I said, this phone is an amazing phone, and given that I have a Sony camera, it even works better when you have a Sony camera, because not only does the phone have HDMI, the phone also have USB connectivity. So this phone can be used as a way to broadcast from your camera. This is something new. So you can actually just plug this phone straight into your camera and now use your camera as the camera for the phone. So for instance, you want to go live on an Instagram or Facebook, anywhere you want to broadcast live, you can now actually use this phone to broadcast directly to these channels, your YouTube, your Facebook, wherever. So broadcasters are using it with the 5G and the 4G capability to send signal to wherever they want to send signal. That's just one of the features. Now it also can connect directly to the USB on your Sony camera and allows you to send files to the phone, so you can now send these files out. So think about being a photographer in the field and you want to share files on the go. For instance, you're working for AP or you're working for one of those photography companies that you're shooting sports, so you need the files to go to them right away. Transfer files from the camera to the phone very easily and very fast. There are multiple ways you can do it on the camera. You can either do it USB Theta, or you can also do it wirelessly, but USB Theta will give you the fastest speed. Again, why are these phones not selling out when it comes to creatives? I'll explain. This phone doubles, as I mentioned earlier, as a phone and a display for your camera. Can't say this is a good idea. I don't know. It would be nice to kind of pop out my phone and use it as a display on my screen, but think about having your phone as your main display, a call coming, you're doing certain stuff. It just seems weird. Now, the next thing about this phone is actually $2,500. You hear that? $2,500 this phone is selling for. I know that if you want to buy a display like, for instance, a small HD display, one of those top of the line display, you'll be spending much more. However, you'll be getting SDI and all of these other features which make a pro grade display. You know what I mean? Or a field monitor. It's a very expensive phone, and when you think about a display for your camera, mind you have cheaper displays, you have inexpensive display like the display that I'm using right now, which is a free world. It only costs like $100. Would you want to spend $2,500 on a phone that can also be a display for your camera? I don't know. I wouldn't buy it based on the pricing and based on what the features. As I said, now the features are amazing. Now the phone itself has some amazing features. Now this phone is a pro level phone, so almost anything that you can do with your Sony DSLR, you can go into this phone and do it. It comes with pro level apps that allow you to have full control the depth of field, control ISO. You're controlling everything in this phone. It has some amazing camera on it. But is it worth $2,500? Are you willing to spend $2,500 on this phone just to double as a display? Because mind you know, the Xperia 1 and the Xperia 5 is not that expensive. They are roughly in flagship price. We're talking about between the $700 to the $1,000 price range. Now you're spending an next $1,500 to get this HDMI capability and some other features. Now, does that really make sense? Would you really do that? Even though as a Sony user, it seems very enticing, but when I look at the price point, I don't know. And then the next thing, when it comes to a phone, maybe when it comes to a display, you don't think about ecosystem. When it comes to a phone, the ecosystem is very important. That's the reason why Apple sells so much phone. There's an ecosystem. I don't know of a Sony ecosystem. Maybe there is one, but I don't know of it. Mine know, oh well, the ecosystem with Sony is you're connecting the phone to your camera. I don't know if that makes sense for me as a creative who would be using a phone more for a phone and not be using it as a display for my camera. Sony, I don't know. As I said, the Sony Xperia Pro, amazing phone, but the price is kind of shaky. And I can get a cheap display if I need something to display on my camera, even though, as I said, it's an HDR OLED display, so you know the brightness will be amazing. You can use this display in almost any environment, outdoor, indoor. You'll have amazing colors and stuff like that. However, who is it made for? And it's not like I am not a Sony user. I even have the Mark III for their earphone. You know what I mean? This earphone name is very hard to call, so I'm not gonna call it, but this is the Mark III version, not the latest version. But who is this phone made for? I'm a big Sony fan. I have a couple Sony cameras. I have the A7R II, the A7S II, and I recently purchased the A7 III, which is what I'm shooting on now. So it's not like I am not someone who uses Sony product. And again, who is it made for? Is it made for me as a creative? Or who? I don't know. Who is it made for? You know what I mean? As a creative, I don't see myself buying a phone to be my display. There's too much things that you do with your phone that you now want it to use as a display. So I don't know, Sony. I think you guys might have missed on this one. And please, when you guys release the phones, just make the phone them come out at least a month after. Anything beyond that, people won't remember it. I'm Shango, a creative from Jamaica. This is ETT. Blessings and guidance.